All right. All right. I don't know how much you heard. Gloria, this message is for you. I accidentally blocked you by mistake. I did unblock you, so you can come back if you're still there. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about how you doing, Tareen? What Donald Trump is doing. He is literally trying to erase our history. And, Elon made a comment a few weeks ago saying they should sell the Black History Museum. In fact, he said Elon said all of the Black history museums in the country should go up for sale. And this is my message back to you, Elon. You should put Tesla up for sale, Elon, and perhaps a black man can run it a hell of a lot better than you. That's my message to you. Sell Tesla. Sell your Teslas all over the country and let a black man take it over. It'll probably quadruple in profits, but as long as you're there, it won't be any profit. So, uh, ladies and gentlemen, this man got a lot of nerve, but Donald Trump is playing the game, and it makes me wonder if what is Black MAGA thinking about this whole thing? Because I notice when the racism started coming from the administration, Black MAGA has been exceptionally quiet. I don't hear any of you out here opposing Donald Trump or going along with it. You're more than likely to go along with it because that's what raccoons do. But I'm just saying, how come y'all are staying exceptionally quiet during all of the racism? And what are you going to do without white MAGA? Because he is calling for segregation. So wouldn't that mean you Black MAGA would be separated from white MAGA? Just wondering. Haven't heard a thing from you. So we're going to talk about the history. Donald Trump has this very unrealistic way of seeing history. It is ridiculous for anybody on this planet to believe history is not going to be negative and positive. Yes, there's going to be a lot of negative things about your history, and there's going to be positive things about your history. That's usually normal. Donald Trump is trying to make you believe anything that they don't favor is not good history for their kids to hear. Well, quite frankly, I don't believe my children should hear nothing but all white history. I don't believe that's normal. When you look at the population of this country, and we all know the history of chattel slavery, so there's no way you did everything. If that's the case, and I'm going to say this again, if you did everything, how come y'all not flocking to Nebraska to save it from bankruptcy? You should be able to save that state. You did it all, right? You did everything. So you should be able to just walk in there with ease and save the state. Shouldn't you? Shouldn't you be out there, doing all those farm jobs? Yeah, you go save the state since you do it all. Go save them. So let's talk about it, y'all. This is nothing but straight up racism. Donald Trump wants propaganda and not history. He wants white propaganda, and everything that is said about history is just to favor white people. That's what he wants. And anything about us, don't even mention it. Don't mention it at all. And Donald Trump has gone as far as refusing to send federal funds to schools that teach Black history. He's gone that far. So he is willing to do anything to whitewash the history and tell history from some phony point of view about white people in this country. That is, to me, detrimental to our children, because our children are going to grow up and think we just sat there while they did everything, which is a false narrative. So to me, that causes harm to our children, and we should never go along with that. Look, as long as we're in their institutions, they can do whatever the hell they want. But once we walk away and we're in the comforts of our own home, they can't tell you not to teach the history. They can't tell you not to buy the books and teach your children. So, no matter what Donald Trump does, the history will still be alive in us. Never forget that. Just like we know we're the chosen people, and no denial from a Gentile is going to change that. Well, that is the same thing when it comes down to our history. Him whitewashing it and then teaching propaganda history that chances are that's not even true is, I have no use for that. I don't know about any of you. I don't have any use for propaganda. Either you're going to tell it all as it was, or to me, don't tell it at all. Don't tell your history either. It's not like it benefited or made my life better by knowing your history. It hasn't done a damn thing for me. So the way I see it, maybe when the children come home, we erase all the stuff they said. We do have the ability to do that. Know what I mean? We do. So it is no surprise. They want to get rid of this museum altogether. Anytime they want to scrub and sanitize the history that's in the Black Smithsonian, then that tells you this is just the first step of what they're trying to do. The next step will be removing parts of history from within the museum. And then from there, they'll be closing it down altogether, refusing to give the federal funds to keep it open. That'll be the final step. So this sanitizing is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. Their goal is to get rid of it altogether, along with all of our museums that are nationwide. They don't want them there. And, I wish our people would develop a sense of letting them know we don't have no need for your history. You can teach it all you want, but we don't have no need for your history. Why is it that they can tell us they want nothing to do with our history, but we can't tell them we don't want nothing to do with theirs? What the hell is up with that? What's up with that? We should have been told these people to take their history and shove it long before now. I'm just saying. I don't know why this is a one-sided thing. They get to tell us that, but we sit silently. Hell no. I don't have no need for your history. Your history can go kick rocks. So let's get to it. So Donald Trump did one of his executive orders, you know. So he's going to hide his racism behind executive orders. But then again, he's not hiding anything. I mean, he hasn't for a long time. Donald Trump was a racist when he was in office the first time. What makes you think he wouldn't be one this time around? And now he's talking about a third term, like somebody really want to see his mug a third term? Please. You need to take your old ass and go somewhere and retire. You're going to be in your mid 80s by the time you're done a third term. Way too old to be president. No, just based on your age alone, there should be anything beyond this term that you're in. You're too old. So he did an executive order accusing the Smithsonian Institute of not reflecting American history. Okay, so what reflects American history? So, what he wants to see is the founding fathers, which were the society. All men are still not created equal, and you don't treat us all equal. That doesn't even apply today. So, it really didn't apply back then when your forefathers were very open racists. Okay, they were very open in their racism. And today you try to be a little more covert, but you're really not covert at all. And you say these things in word, but you do not show it in action. So that's what you want to see up in a museum, some falsehood? All men are created equal. Since when? So Donald Trump wants the real history removed from the museum, and he wants some falsified propaganda put in there that America never lived up to. You say all men are created equal, and then you never lived up to that. This is painful, y'all. This is painful. This is painful. So that's what he wants in there. But it doesn't mention that the founding fathers were enshrined in slavery. And we know they wrote it in the Constitution by saying we were 3/5 of a person. All right. Is that part of the founding fathers going to be in the museum? Of course not. Donald Trump just want them to be told in a positive light and exclude all the negative stuff, which is very unrealistic. Donald Trump, you don't even have a positive life. You sitting there with 34 convictions. So how is everything about you positive? You don't even live up to that standard that you want out here in these museums. You don't live up to that at all. Civil rights advocates and historians, Black political leaders sharply rebuked Trump on Friday for his order entitled Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History. Well, if you take stuff out of the history, how is that a truth? How is that a truth if you're taking things out of the history? You can't even use the word truth. Okay. They argue that his executive order targeting the Smithsonian Institute is his administration's latest move to downplay how racism, and Black Americans themselves have shaped the nation. Yeah, he doesn't want that. He wants you to believe the only ones that did things in this country were white people. That's what he's trying to get to, ladies and gentlemen. That's what he wants nationwide and all museums in this country, that we just sat there and white people did it all. That's what he wants in these museums. Back in the day, they would be at least, they would change things, but they would kind of go behind the scenes and do it. Not Donald Trump. Donald Trump doing it all out in the open. All out in the open, y'all. That's what he's doing. So, Donald Trump wants to deny Jim Crow laws, segregation, racial violence against Black communities. All the white mobs that came in because the towns were successful. Black families, Black individuals even occurred as historians. So Donald Trump want all of that struck out of the history. Any Black achievements, what he calls Black achievements, should all be struck from the history. Only the achievements of white people should be seen. Again, that's propaganda. That's propaganda. That's not real history. The Thursday executive order cites the National Museum of African American History and Culture by name and argues that the Smithsonian as a whole is engaging in a concerted and widespread effort to rewrite our nation's history. Well, instead of celebrating, see, and that's another thing. Donald Trump don't want to celebrate us. He only wants white people celebrated. He don't even want Juneteenth there. He doesn't want that there. He doesn't want it there. President's Day is okay. Yeah, that their garbage is okay, but anything pertaining to us should be removed. That's how he feels. So he claims that having this museum there is divisive. I don't know how it's divisive, because if white people don't want to know or see this history, you don't have to show up at the museum at all. You don't have to walk through there. You don't have to do nothing. I don't walk through your stuff and don't feel no need to do it. But he said this museum is divisive. A museum that have actual history, telling the actual truth about that history, is divisive. So if he views this museum as divisive, the next step would be to destroy it, right? Exactly. It would be to destroy it. Okay. It empowers JD Vance, who's just as bad as Donald Trump, to review all properties, programs, and presentations, to prohibit programs that degrade American values. Okay, so how does Black history degrade American values? I mean, why don't y'all just say you hate N words and you don't want anything to do with N words or anything attached to it? Why don't you just come out and say it and stop dancing around it? You and Donald Trump, all of y'all just need to come out and say it and stop dancing around the fire, because we're tired of looking at your crooked feet dancing. Just come on out and say it. Come on out and say it. Get it off your chest. Okay. Trump also ordered Interior Secretary Doug Burgum to determine if any monuments since January 2020 have been removed. So, what he's talking about are the Confederate statues. That's what he's talking about. That's what he's butt sore about. That people took down those Confederate statues, right? And it was going on during his presidency. So Donald Trump wants them to look at the statues that were removed or changed to perpetuate false reconstruction of American history. So Donald Trump wants those monuments put back, y'all. He wants the monument. It's okay. Okay, the Confederates who lost, and you should never have monuments. No other country does this, y'all. It's just in this country. No other country puts up monuments of the people that lost the war. Nobody does that. This is the only country where the losing side gets to put up a monument. They shouldn't put nothing up. You lost. So a Confederate statue of racist, so generals, that's not divisive. That's okay. That's not divisive. Put that back. But a museum telling the history of a culture that built your country, that's divisive and that should go. Well, JD Vance, Donald Trump, nobody told your forefathers to enslave us. They could have done the work themselves. They didn't have to do nothing to us, but leave us in peace. They could have done that. So if the history is negative, I would say your folks played a huge role in it being negative. In fact, you played the biggest role in it being negative. You didn't have to do nothing but get your ass out there and do all the work yourself. That's what you could have done. So, so Donald Trump wants that to be looked at, all of the statues that were taken down. And yeah, we know what you want. So you want the Confederate statues back up and the Black History museums taken down. So critics argue the order is the latest move by the Trump administration to quash recognition of Black Americans' contributions to the nation and to gloss over the legal, political, social, and economic obstacles they have faced. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Well said. And Donald Trump is letting you know he does not believe our people deserve any recognition in this country. His people deserve it. We don't. That's really all he is saying. But the problem, Donald Trump, your history is really heavily attached to ours. There is no way you can talk about a forefather and they did not have slaves. There is no way you can talk about Jim Crow or any phase of history where there was no racism, no discrimination. You can't even say that in today's standards because that mess still exists even to this very day. So his goal is to not talk about us all together in this country. He wants everything about us buried. If you don't see it by now, you don't want to see it. You don't want to see it. So it is of no shock that this man didn't pick but one black man that many of us never even heard of for his cabinet. But you don't even see that man. The only ones you see are the white, primarily male cabinet members. The ones you see is his press secretary, a racist white woman. Pam Bondi, a racist white woman. Okay, this is what he is showing you every day. Hell, he ain't even showing you that FBI director, Cash Patel. You don't really see him before the cameras. They keep his ass in the background. And the only ones you see talking on the behalf of the Trump administration are white men and women. You don't even see Cash Patel or even the melanated ones. You don't see them. That man is more melanated than me. Hmm. So, to erase the history is to the bottom line, to erase the history is to deny it. See, Donald Trump's goal is to scrub it all out. And then once it's gone, once it's completely gone, they'll be playing like it never happened. What slavery? That didn't happen. There was no Reconstruction. There was no Jim Crow. There was no civil rights movement. Yeah, that's why he got rid of that Civil Rights Act. It's still there, though, y'all. Technically, it's still there. If he can't get rid of it, what they'll do is ignore it and won't recognize it. That's all. So to erase it is to then the next step would be deny that we had any achievements or anything occurred to us in this country. That's all. So that'll be the next step. If he's able to pull this off, that will be the next step. And pay attention to any state that comply with Donald Trump. Pay attention to any state that will comply to him. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, everything that we're seeing is biblical, y'all. You're what you're looking at is a group of people desperate to stay in power. They are in desperation mode. And some of them are looking at Donald Trump like he's some kind of savior that's in office to save the day. And I think that's ridiculous. This is what I have to say about that. If Donald Trump couldn't save himself from getting 34 convictions, there is no way he can save a nation. And I've been saying that forever. Now, I notice people are reporting on the tariffs today. And they're like, Donald Trump put tariffs on most of the world. Man, I said that back in February. I did a video on that back in February. I can't believe many of you are just catching up now. Donald Trump said it back in February, and I did a video on it. Donald Trump has put tariffs on most countries around the globe. You know what that means? That means there is no chance in hell prices are going down in America. Let me say that again. There is no chance in hell prices are ever coming down in America. There is not going to be no lower egg prices, lower anything. It's not coming when he got that amount of tariffs out there. If anything, it is going to go tenfold up in here with the prices. Now, there was also a story that came out about the automobile tariffs. And Donald Trump pretty much came straight out and said he didn't give a damn if Americans got to pay more money to purchase a car. He said he didn't care. So if he didn't care about that, you think he going to care about some food? Hell no, he don't care. That's why that lie, oh, the prices are going to come down day one when he's in office, and the prices continue to go up. They continue to go up. It's not going to change. It's never going to change. Yeah, well, that's why we said we're staying out of the street. Kimberly Ship, he did. They voted for him. They created this mess. It's up to them to fix it. And of course, they're still on videos talking about we need to all be out there and come together. It's amazing. We don't need to come together until something happens to you. And then all we need to come together. But when things happen to us, you sure don't be on video screaming about coming together. You don't say nothing at all. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. And I will be back on a different topic on another day. Let me just see here. I got one. Mr. Soulful, thank you so much for the super sticker. I deeply appreciate it. Thank you. So, y'all, please enjoy the rest of your day and be on the lookout for my other videos later on. Shalom, family.